Hello and welcome to the Ellen Made Book Club, where I will be figuring out my favorite books of 2025. I have some books that come to mind immediately as favorites and some books that are definitely not. And I guess I could do a video about like my top 5 and just like give you a review and everything, but like I don't have my list figured out yet, and I watched a video last night which Kat at Curious Cat did, where she was figuring out her list of 26 books to read in 2026, and she was like matching them to different challenges and just like explaining her thought process about her choices. I'm not wearing a microphone. Also, I think that, I've read a lot of books this past year, and I feel like it's kind of a shame to just talk about 5 of them or 10 of them. I want them all to be at least visible, even if I didn't like them, because they are little trophies that I achieved. And I just think it's fun to show them all and look at all of the covers and see all the colors and all of the experiences that I've had. And I don't know, I want to talk about them. And let's just get into this video. So these are all of the books that I have read in 2025. There are 64 of them. I read 51 last year, and 52 was my goal for this year. I think that part of the reason why I read so many more, like percentage-wise, that's a pretty big jump, but I think that's due to the fact that I have intentionally read shorter books, and I have also read a couple of graphic novels, which I did not read in 2024, and so that brings that number up a little bit for me. So yeah, let's try to figure out which ones of these were really great reads. I have 2 categories of tiers so far, which are favorites and not it. So I guess let's just start by moving some stuff around, I guess. So I'll say immediately that Annie John and The 3 Lives of Kate K were not it. Let's see, ADHD for Smartass Women was also not it. And then There Were None was not it. I'm so sorry. The Strange Case of Jane O was also not it. Count My Lies, Forgotten on Sunday was also not it at all. Broken Country, I think, was a really good and well-written novel, but not for me. Tell Me Something Good had a lot of potential, but nope, not it. The Guilt Pill, same thing. Lots of potential, not it. Rabbit Hole, I really liked, but it's probably not a favorite. I like it. I don't know. Everything else can stay. The House on Mango Street also wasn't a favorite. It's not bad, but it wasn't for me necessarily. Let's see. Crooked Seeds also wasn't it. Idle Burning. Let's move that down. Oil on Water is, not bad, but it's not one of my favorites. Was not very enjoyable. Fight Club is also one that I was like very glad to finally read, but it's not very enjoyable. Swamp Thing, sure, but no, it's not it for this. Endling, also not it. It's doing a lot of good and interesting things, but it's not going to be a favorite of mine. Someone Knows is not it. Murder by Memory is not it. I'm just gonna put these like that. We Love You Bunny, definitely not it. Let's see. Never the Wind, also Uncharmed. Like, I really enjoyed Uncharmed, but it's not gonna be a favorite. Okay, let's make like a middle pile, I guess. Also, I would like to put all of the Heartstopper ones, and then maybe let's do like a nonfiction pile, because I think those are also good to pick out. Okay, let's make a pile, I guess, for the ones that were good but are not going to make the favorites list. It's just not it, but it's still good. I think this one can move up maybe. I'm not really sure. Rabbit Hole, you're not really hearing my thoughts about this. So, yes. I really liked that one, actually. Yeah, this one. And this one, actually. And this one, maybe. The Garden. And probably Cross My Heart. Okay, so the ones on this row right here are books that I enjoyed and I had a good time with, but maybe had like some issues with. So they're not gonna make my favorites list, but they're still ones that I would recommend and that I had a good time with. I kind of think that Isola and Quorum House fall on like a similar kind of level. I don't know, the compound was really good. Crooked Plow is very memorable to me. It's one that just stands out. It's a historical fiction set in Brazil. I wouldn't necessarily say it was like a fantastic time reading it. I just think it's good. I don't really know. I feel like Bunny has to go to the top because I just had a really good time with it. Let's move up some books that I thought were really fantastic. I think Nesting is an obvious choice. I also think that Homegoing is an obvious choice. It's not a very enjoyable read, but it's just just really fantastic. I think Red Clay is also really fantastic, but I'm gonna put it next to Isola. I feel like those are sort of at the same level of enjoyment for me. I thought it was really good. Pet is another obvious favorite for me, by Catherine Tiggy. Literary thriller set in New Zealand, and yeah, I just loved it. The Book of Guilt is also an obvious favorite. Oh, and then we have these two, must not forget. Okay, Women Talking, I also think is gonna end up on my favorites up here because it is a fantastic book and I loved it a lot. I'll put Bunny there. The Compound, oh, I'm not really sure. I think I gave it 4 stars when I read it. I had a really good time with it. I didn't think the ending was perfect, and I did think it like started a little bit slow, but once I got into it, I really enjoyed myself. It's gonna stay right here, I think. Where does Crooked Plow go? And where does The Winners go? I don't want to put like the third and last book of a series in my top list. Like, I did love The Winners, but it's really long and it's, the third of a series. Beartown by Fredrik Backman is definitely a favorite, but I think of that series as a whole and not necessarily that The Winners as the book itself was my favorite. I don't know. It is really good though. Like thinking about it and how the two storylines work together. Yeah, it is really good. But I'm gonna put it there in like the tier right below. I also think that's gonna be true for Our Wives Under the Sea. And Ronja Rövardotter is a reread, so I'm not gonna count it for that reason. It is still a book that I love and enjoyed a lot. My Friends by Fredrik Backman, I really enjoyed, and I gave 5 stars when I read it, and I still think that it's worth the 5 stars because I don't know, I don't really think there's anything wrong with it. It's an emotional roller coaster of a book, and it hit me in the feels. I don't really remember the storyline as clearly as I do with A Man Called Ove and Beartown. Like, in that sense, it was just kind of a haze. I know a lot of the things that happened and like went on, but I can't necessarily pinpoint it to one specific character or like the order of things, and like, I don't know, there was just a lot. So I think this one will also go in this sort of category, which I guess is like a 4-star category, but it's just like, I don't know, it was really enjoyable and good. Yeah, that's a 4-star. Displacement, I think I'm gonna put in my top tier just because I think that it's a beautifully illustrated graphic novel. It's a very like tight story. It's emotional and informative, and I learned a lot. And yeah, I just think it's a perfect historical graphic novel for young adults. I think it's just the right amount of information and story, and yeah, I really loved it. The Appeal by Janice Hallett is a book that I had a really good time with, and so that makes me think it should be up here. Like, I had such a good time. I was laughing, I was thinking, it was very engaging. Yeah, I don't really see any faults with it. So that's gonna go up there. The Queens of Sarmiento Park is, I don't really know. This is one of those stories that are kind of a little bit weird or like a little bit odd, like in terms of structure. or like, you know, there's some magical realism in this, and there isn't really a clear storyline, but I still like enjoyed it and loved it, and I think I gave it 5 stars, and I think it's a standout read for this year. I don't know that I would say that it's one of my favorites. Like, it's not, oh, this is my new favorite book. I just think it's a fantastic book, and I think people should read it. I don't know. I think I would say Crooked Plow is more of a favorite than this one, I think. Or even Quorum House. I thought that was really great. I thought that was really interesting. Then we have Fundamentally by Niseba Yunus, which is almost hiding here. This was also emotional and funny, like laugh out loud funny. I loved the way it made fun of people who are working in these aid organizations or like trying to be helpful in countries, the bureaucracy of that and like the red tape and how people just kind of give up and it just becomes such an absurd situation. It's just really funny to me. Another clear favorite for me was Disability Visibility, so that needs to go up here somewhere. The Chain also was really good, and I don't know, I feel like that's sort of underrated. I really enjoyed my experience with it. The audiobook is fantastic. The Serviceberry I'm gonna put down here, I think. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but it didn't really give me a lot, and it's not one that I'm gonna think of and like, that's fantastic. We Will Be Jaguars is definitely a book that I will think about and say, that's fantastic. Foster, I don't know if I ever mentioned that because I read that for a reading vlog. I did a thing. I was gonna do this whole reading project vlog. I have it started and I have filmed like, I don't know, 80% of it, but it's been going on since like the beginning of summer, I think. So I don't know if I'm gonna scrap that or if I'm gonna continue it. I don't know if it is any good at all because it doesn't really. Anyways, I read Foster by Claire Keegan in that vlog and I really liked it. I think it packs a lot of punch for being such a short story, and I was definitely like emotionally, you know, moved. It wasn't quite a 5-star, or like it is a 5-star read for me. I think it's a perfect short story, but it wasn't something that crushed me or like filled me with this like intense feeling of like this is an all-time favorite. I think I want to move up on Charmed because it feels rude that it's there. I also had a good time with The Garden and Cross My Heart. I had a good time with all of these. This is so hard because I really liked all of these. So I think I gave The Naturals 5 stars as well. I don't really know. Gonna grab some water. Okay, so we're getting somewhere and now it's gonna get a little bit more difficult. I guess I haven't mentioned Heartstopper, but this was definitely like a favorite series like as a whole, so I'm just gonna put that like there. I do think I feel good about these being there. Oh my goodness. No. These are really good. Okay. This is really hard. Okay. But okay, let's move on to the top row here and just figure out like my top favorites. Maybe I should separate the nonfiction. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 10 with this like series at the end. So that worked out. And then 3 nonfictions. I think that's a pretty good, that's good. And then some honorable mentions. Okay. Honorable mentions. So honorable mentions are going to come from this pile, right? So we're going to do Crooked Plow because that is fantastic. I'm going to do Red Clay because that is also really good. Isola is also really good. Oh, this is going to be hard. Quorum House and The Compound. I do think that The Queens of Sarmiento Park is worthy of an honorable mention, so I don't know, let's just put that up there, I guess. All right, I think this feels good and right. So let's get to sorting my favorites, I guess. This is gonna be tricky. Heartstopper is not gonna be my favorite read of the year, and I don't think that either of the nonfiction ones are either. Like they are not, they're in a separate category, so that's fine. Okay, The Appeal is not gonna be my number 1. Okay. Neither is displacement, and neither is bunny. Homegoing is such a good book. Okay. Nesting is also really good. I think I enjoyed these more though. I think it's gonna be that The Book of Guilt is my favorite. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. Is Pet my second favorite? I would have said this was my favorite when I read it, but the question is then if anything else after that was better. It might have been Women Talking, if anything. This might just be the order, like The Book of Guilt, Pet, Women Talking, Nesting. I think fundamentally, honestly, it was just such an enjoyable reading experience. I think The Appeal is going to come in at number 10, and then this one is number 9. I don't know. Oh, this is hard. I guess the Heartstopper series is going to come in at number 10. This is difficult. I will say Bunny was a lot more enjoyable than Homegoing. But I think that Homegoing is such an important read. Like, it's such, I don't know, it just does so much. So I'm going to put that there, and then Bunny, I guess. I would have to say Bunny over Displacement, and then probably The Appeal. Is that my list? Is The Appeal better than all of these? The Book of Guilt is a definite favorite. Pet, fantastic. Women Talking, fantastic. Nesting, fantastic. Fundamentally, fantastic. Homegoing, fantastic. Bunny, fantastic. Displacement, awesome. The Appeal, such a fun time. Yeah, okay, I think I'm pretty happy with this. The honorable mentions, I don't know if I need to like order. I think this order is pretty good as it is. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Okay, I think maybe that's it. Did I do it? So in the nonfiction category, we have Disability Visibility, edited by Alice Wong, first person stories from the 21st century. And so, yeah, this is a collection of essays by a lot of different people with lots of different disabilities and backgrounds and lives and interests and ways of expressing themselves. And it's just a fantastic anthology, and I just think everybody should read it. I read like an essay or two a day, and that worked really well for me. It gave me time to like process the essays, and yeah, I think it's fantastic. The Chain by Shemin Suleiman is a memoir by a woman who lived through an abusive relationship with a man and then found out that he had treated other women really poorly as well, but that sort of gives some hope to this memoir and this story about how the women formed this chain and worked together to move through the trauma that they had survived. We Will Be Jaguars by Nemonten Kimo is also a memoir by a Waorani woman in Ecuador who is taking on being oil to save the rainforest in that area and fight for the rights of the people who live there. The honorable mentions are Crooked Plow by Itamar Vieira Jr., which is historical fiction set in Brazil after the end of slavery there, and we're following two sisters who are of African descent, and one of the sisters cuts off her tongue with a knife that they find under their grandmother's bed, and then we follow them from there. Red Clay by Charles B. Fancher is also set after slavery has ended, after the Civil War in America, the United States of America. It follows a boy who is born into slavery, but then the war ends and like what happens after. It has some horrific moments, obviously, but there's also a lot of love and joy and hope in this story, and it's a very interesting plotline, and it's based on the author's own family history. And the next two are also based on true events. Isola by Allegra Goodman is historical fiction meets survivor story. This follows a woman who grows up in France in like a noble family. They're like well off, but she loses her parents before she is of age to inherit, and so she is appointed a guardian. And then through some events, she ends up deserted on an island off of the coast of Canada, and she's just left there to fend for herself, and it's a really great story. Coram House by Bailey Seybold is about an orphanage. There's a boy who might have died or gone missing, or maybe it didn't exist at all, and so there's a woman who goes there to ghostwrite a nonfiction book about this orphanage, years later, and then there's another murder in the present timeline. So she's investigating a lot, and there's a mystery and some suspense in the present day as well, and I really enjoyed this one. So yeah, that's why it's an honorable mention. The Compound by Aisling Rawle is Love Island meets Lord of the Flies. There's a reality TV show where men and women come and they have to pair up, and they also have to do these little challenges or like tasks to get material gains. It starts out kind of slow, and there's a lot of characters like there usually is in a reality TV show. But then as people are voted out, the group of characters gets smaller and smaller, and things get crazier and crazier. And I really enjoyed my time with this one. The Queens of Sarmiento Park by Camila Sosa Villada follows a group of trans sex workers in Argentina, and they find a baby abandoned in the bushes, and they decide to keep it and raise it. There's a magical realism and the relationships between these women and their experiences as trans sex workers, and yeah, it's very insightful, heartfelt, funny at times, just a great read, and one that I would also highly recommend. And then moving on to fiction, in number 10 we have the Heartstopper series by Alice Oseman, which is a young adult graphic novel series. It's following two teenage boys who fall in love and their classmates, and yeah, it's just a really sweet story and lots of great representation. In the number 9 spot we have The Appeal by Janice Hallett, which is a mixed media murder mystery with a cast of characters who are in a local amateur theater group, and there's a murder, and yeah, we just get the communication, text communication, and like some newspaper articles and things to follow along with what has happened and trying to figure out who the killer is. Displacement by Kiku Hughes is a young adult historical graphic novel about internment camps for Japanese Americans during the Second World War, and it's gorgeous and beautiful, and I loved it. Bunny by Mona Awad is a dark and weird sort of literary horror novel, I guess you would say, following Samantha, who is a writer student, and she comes across this group of girls who are very cutesy and call each other Bunny, and there's some dark and weird stuff going on, and it's a very fun time. Homegoing by Yao Jassy is historical fiction. It follows two sisters, or it starts with two sisters and then follows their respective lineages. One line is in Ghana in Africa, and the other one is in the United States of America, and it starts out during slavery and works its way up through the generations to present day, and it shows lots of different ways that African Americans and Africans have been mistreated throughout the decades, and it just gives such a good overview of that history, and I think it's a really important read. It's not very enjoyable, but it's fantastic, and I think everyone should read it. In the number 5 spot we have Fundamentally by Naseva Yunus, which is contemporary fiction, also sort of darkly comic, I would say, about a woman who goes to Iraq to de-radicalize ISIS brides. Has a lot of funny commentary, and it's just very relatable in a lot of ways if you work in some kind of field where you're trying to do good, but there's a lot of bureaucracy and red tape and weird things happening to the system that you're working in. And, that puts you in kind of absurd situations and people acting really weird. Number 4 is Nesting by Roisin O'Donnell, which is another story following a woman in an abusive relationship, but this one follows a woman who is trying to leave her husband, or the father of her children, and she is trying to take the children with her, and she does, but then she has to figure out, what do you do next? It's just heartbreaking, and this sense of dread throughout the entire novel, and I was very gripped by the story. I think it's a very important story to be told, and it's very well written, and I really loved it. Women Talking by Miriam Taves is another story where women are in a very difficult situation. This is based on a true event, and it follows a group of Mennonite women who are discussing what to do after having found out that the men in their community have done some really horrible things. Yeah, it's fantastic, and I'm very glad I finally got around to reading it. And then in the number 1 and 2 spot, we have my 2 reads from Catherine Chidgey. The first one is Pet by Catherine Chidgey. This is a literary thriller set in New Zealand, follows a girl in school, and she has a very charismatic teacher who sort of mesmerizes the whole class, and everybody wants to be her pet, and like everybody wants to be on her good side. Again, there's this sense of dread, like there's something creepy going on, but you can't really put your finger on it. And I was hooked. I loved the writing. It's so gorgeous. I love the storytelling. It is, yeah, unnerving, as it says on the cover. And yeah, it's fantastic, and I loved it. And then in the first spot, we have The Book of Guilt by Catherine Chidgey, which is a book that came out in 2025. And this follows 3 boys, 3 triplets, who are growing up in an orphanage in Britain after the Second World War has ended, but it's like an alternate history, so nobody won the Second World War. And I won't say too much because I think you should read this book as soon as possible, and I think you should go in knowing as little as possible. If you liked Piranesi, this has a very similar vibe. It's not the same story at all, but it's kind of the similar vibe where you're just like dropped into the story and trying to figure out what is going on. And it's very satisfying. The storytelling is fantastic. The writing is gorgeous. The characters are great. And yeah, I just loved everything about this book, and I want to read it again. Let me know if you have read any of these and what you thought of them, or if you are going to pick any of them up in the coming year. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.